Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with physical creator and showrunner Annie Weisman. Annie, this series finished its third and final season in September, and it's the best reviewed of the series so far. Talk about how bittersweet it is to bring this story to a close, but go out on such a high.
Well, Bittersweet really nails it because I was just really thrilled to get the opportunity to kind of bring the whole three-act saga to a close. We started the show ambitiously with this flash forward about that showed us where this character who was really in despair when we met her would get to and the redemption that she would get to. And so we got a chance with season 3 to really get her there.
And what's it been like having Rose Byrne lead this cast? I mean, she's so brilliant in this. How did that relationship with you start, and how has it developed between you two over the last three seasons?
Well, it was really the relationship with Rose has been for sure just the highlight of my professional life. She was the dream actress to play this part because of everything she's capable of, from the humor to the depth and the bravery and the emotional intensity. And she really plays every aspect of the role, with such courage and bravery. And so I think it went from me sort of, approaching her with in a kind of, I would say, wanting her to be part of it and kind of reassuring her. And by the end, we were such partners that she really pushed and encouraged me to do things like direct the second to last episode and to take the character places that, I was sometimes afraid to go and expose parts of myself and my own history that I would sometimes be afraid to expose. So we really, I think, encouraged and brought the best out in each other.
And Sheila always had that inner dialogue in her head that was dragging her
Yes.
down. This year we got sort of a nemesis in her mind, a rival named Kelly, played by Zoe Deschanel. Talk
Yeah.
about that transition from sort of taking yourself down in your mind and degrading yourself to sort of having a projected rival, and how that story arc worked.
Yeah, so it was really something that evolved in the writer's room as we approached season 3, because we had really dug into the depths of that inner voice and explored a lot of what the contrast between Sheila's kind of outer self and her inner life sounded like and felt like. We had really gone there. And but as she started to recover and feel more integrated and connected, we thought about ways that inner voice might evolve. And something that we came up with was this idea of a kind of projected rival. You might call it a parasocial relationship that we all kind of have with these figures out in public life. And it's something kind of, it's again in that world of like, we're always trying to explore things that everyone can relate to, but we don't necessarily want to talk about. And one of them is our, many of us have unnaturally intimate imaginary relationships with media figures and public figures, and they become this place where we can kind of project our fears and our desires and insecurity onto. And I think that's always been true, and it's even probably more true now with the access we get through social media to other people's lives. And so that's how this character came about and became a way to show how a kind of a disorder can be, how tricky recovery is, how it can kind of slip away from you and take a new form, and the hydra can kind of grow a new head and reappear in a different way. And it was also just a chance to work with an incredible actress like Zoe, who she's such a triple threat, just like a real, and there's something about her that she's such a kind of classic actress in the classic sense of when actresses were expected to be great entertainers on, in every way. So it's that kind of era of actress that would also have the Vegas show and do song and dance, and she really inhabits that really naturally and really beautifully.
And I also love that it's a period piece. I mean, it takes place in the 80s. What was
Mhm.
important about that for you to go back decades? Because we see this evolution of her and she's an entrepreneur, she's dealing with an eating disorder, and she's getting this advice and she's going to, sort of therapy. And therapy might have looked a
Mhm.
little bit different 30 to 40 years ago than
Yeah.
advice. So what was it like sort of diving into that decade?
Yeah. Well, it was a way to look at personal evolution through the evolution of the time, right? So I think we're straddling, Sheila kind of straddles the 70s and the 80s. So she kind of shows that transition in the culture between the time, the look and the understanding of the 70s, and then the kind of look and understandings of the 80s. And so I think like you said, there was much less conversation culturally about eating disorders in the late 70s and early 80s. And so Sheila's kind of navigating that time when there wasn't a popular language for it, there wasn't a lot of discussion of it, but it was definitely being experienced by a lot of women. And then we see her as part of that sort of pioneering transition of bringing it out into the open and discussing it and naming it. And that kind of, I think the evolution from the 70s look of the show to the 80s becomes a kind of metaphor for that transition. So we start in this kind of earth tone 70s world and then kind of move into this more technicolor, brighter 80s world. And by season 3, and that kind of parallels that recovery and that transition.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to play with some great production design as well. Costume.
Yeah,
I think the music supervisor might have had the most fun job on TV. I think the soundtrack is
I
so
think so too.
killer.
Yeah, Liza Richardson is wonderful. We worked together for years, and she not only knows the time period, but she knows the place really well because she's a Southern California aficionado, and so music is so connected to the world of exercise, the world of beach culture, surf culture, and she really is specific about all that, and it kind of really helps bring it to life.
And you wrote the season opener and the series finale on season 3. You've done that each season, at least the
Yeah,
first and last episode, if not more, but at least those. Is it important
yeah.
to sort of to kind of open and close the story exactly how you want it? And then how do you work with the rest of the team to fill it all in so seamlessly? Because we do see a lot of writers, but it all
Mhm.
all blends so perfectly.
Yeah, it's definitely collaborative in thinking broad strokes about the whole season. We talk about the big arcs and the character development and what we want to do together. But I really do try to give it that bookend myself. The beginning and the end of the process, I think, are the most important for the showrunner to kind of set the vision of the show. So I do try to do that every season.
And it's interesting the titles of each episode start with the same word. Season 1 is all
Yeah.
they're all let's, season 2 is don't, season 3 is like. Where did that idea come from?
Well, it came from actually back to music, song titles. We were thinking about, um, the Olivia Newton-John song, Let's Get Physical, which is kind of where the origin of the title came from. And then the Don't was, the song from the early 80s, Don't You Want Me? And the last one was the Madonna song, Like. So I think we were in that way evolving from um, in time, and then also kind of because the 3 acts, the first season is really about her trying to connect to others, so that's like the let's, and then the second season is about her divorce and kind of pushing away, and then the third season is like she's trying to launch into being an entrepreneur and being out in the world. So that was kind of the vibe of each of those
I love the music.
titles.
The last episode starts with Control by Janet Jackson, which couldn't have been
Yeah,
a better song to start with. And we flash forward to 1986, and she's got this franchise, Strength in Numbers. It's about female
yeah.
ownership. Talk
Hmm.
about that going in that direction for that
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, well, I think, it's a commonly talked about quality of women with eating disorders, that it is about control, wanting control in a world where you don't feel in control. And so it becomes a way to control something kind of dangerous and kind of unhealthy about yourself. And so the evolution we're seeing in Sheila is that she's evolved to have control over something that is powerful and that does matter, that isn't just about, slimming down or restricting calories. It's about feeling strength and then communicating that to others. So that was, I think, if in a nutshell, that's kind of represents the journey for Sheila, from control on the inside that's restrictive to control out in the world that's liberating.
And in that final scene, we also hear her say that sort of it's really about letting go of control a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
That is most freeing.
Yeah.
Talk,
Yeah.
talk about writing that final episode, and I love that reconciliation with Bunny and
Mm-hmm.
how they are able to repair that relationship.
Yeah. It was important to me to kind of honor all these, not only the relationships we had with the wonderful actors I got to work with, but this character, her 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 liberation sometimes came at the cost of um hurting others at times, to get what she wanted. And so, I wanted her to have those moments of being able to kind of connect with and heal some of the pain she had caused. I know for me, is when I'm the fan of a show, I like to see, you want to see that those reconnections. You want to see people, heal and evolve, and fan favorites get to come back too. So it was fun to bring her back. It was sort of the original sin of the series, that she had kind of not really credited another woman for what she had learned from her. And I think that happens a lot, and women are pitted against each other. They're told, there's only room for one. And so we kind of, one of the things that helped Sheila in her recovery was learning how to have a female friendship, have a best friend, open up, And so that was her relationship with Greta. And then also, just healing that original sin with Bunny was really important too. So we got to do, we got to bring back the favorites, which was rewarding and fun.
And can we just shout out Deirdre? Is it Friel?
Real. Yeah,
I mean, she plays Greta. I
absolutely.
love that character so much. It's
Yeah.
not just Sheila's evolution, it's Greta's as well. And
Yeah.
what a sparring partner for Rose to have.
I will shout her out all day long. She is so wonderful. And, she wasn't supposed to have such a big part. It's just when somebody, Deirdre really inhabited that role with so much intelligence and grace and humor. And, it's about a woman who's sometimes overlooked, finding her voice and standing up for herself and making space for herself. And she just won all of our hearts. And she's such a fan favorite too. And so the part grew with her.
And what has this been like for you, this whole journey? I mean, I know this is such a personal story. What has it been like for you personally? And how much have you heard from others? Because it not just about
Yeah.
eating disorders, but about entrepreneurship, divorce. I mean, this hits a lot of heavy topic.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been really thrilling and really gratifying just to that the show continues to be out in the world. And I hear I hear all the time from people what that they feel seen by it, or they understand either themselves, their partner, their mom more. Um, and men, women, I hear from surprising people, people I wouldn't expect, who connect with it, who care about it. So it's just really so rewarding. And it's you hope for as a writer is to that your story will connect with others, and it that's really been the case. So I feel really grateful for that.
And it allows everyone to also have a little bit of laughter through the trauma.
Hmm.
When did you know this has to be a comedy, even though the subject matter, this has to be funny?
Yeah, I think that's just my way of moving through the world.
Yeah.
That's just how I deal with everything. I don't really have a choice. I think I have a disease of making jokes in the worst times, and taking things seriously that other people don't take seriously, and taking things lightly that other people take seriously. It's just It's just the way I was made.
Well, congratulations on such an incredible final season. I'm so glad that you were able to really put a bow on it, and there's so much closure at the end with all of the relationships and the story. What an arc. And everyone can check out all three seasons on
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus. Annie, thanks for sitting down with Gold Derby today.
Thank you so much. Really thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it.